What's up, everybody? Welcome back in Tuck Rule Takes, episode 220. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see there's only two boxes on the screen tonight. I'm Al. I'm here. I'm going to change my name in a second because I don't like my full name being on there, but you know what? It's okay. Uh,
Alan.
Liam is here. Hi, buddy.
Hey, bud, how are you?
I'm pretty good. It feels like there's not as much room being taken up. I wonder why. Oh, wait, I know why, because Mike's not here.
It's a lot quieter, a lot more peaceful. You can almost feel the higher intellect of this Tuck Rule Takes episode just by subtraction.
And also you can sense like the Patriots bias goes from 100 to about 5 really quick on a
Yeah,
scale of 1 to 100.
just
So
seems so level-headed in here.
I know, and we're gonna have a lot of level-headed takes tonight, I feel like. So, like I said, I'm here, Al. Liam's here. No Mike tonight. Mike said, you know what? Super Bowl's over, boys. We made our Super Bowl run. Didn't win it, but you know what? I'm taking some time off. So see you later. Screw you guys. You guys got it. Mike should be back on next week. He should be. I think he's going to, what do you say, New Hampshire?
I think he said that.
Yeah, I think he said that in the chat. So, like I said, he'll be back on next week. So we'll talk about everything. We'll go probably a little more in depth with the Patriots offseason, kind of the mock drafts and the free agency and trades and all and everything. We're gonna get into that a little bit tonight and just kind of get some preliminary thoughts. But Liam, is there anything that you want to talk about before we kind of get into some Patriot storylines and then some off-season talk?
Yeah, I guess just quickly, 1,000 feet up, 1 week later, thoughts of the Super Bowl. Just quickly, do we feel different from last week and maybe a more level-headed, quick approach to it?
Yeah, I think it's more level-headed in the sense of they didn't deserve to win the game. Like Seattle was clearly better. They were better defensively, even though the Patriots were pretty good defensively. They were much better offensively. Even like the special teams, like the kick return game, the punt return game, everything was better. The Seattle Seahawks are who the Patriots should strive to be in terms of young with, a head coach that's still young within the system because we know Mike Vrabel's like 50. But that's who you want to be. You want to get to that level. When you're at that level, then you can really contend for those championships. So I'm fine with it. Like I said last week, I know you gave me a little bit of shit for it, but they won the AFC in a year that nobody thought they could do it. So you know what? Let's call it like it is, Liam. They overachieved. And that's fine. I'm happy with that. I'm glad they overachieved.
Yeah, that is a good point. They certainly overachieved, and we said it all year, and it just kind of fell by the wayside when you get caught up in the Super Bowl hype. You have 2 weeks to prepare for it, and basically at the Broncos game, we kind of knew we were going to the Super Bowl. Where I'm like, holy shit, we're actually going to do this. Once the Bo Nix news comes out, which was well before the game was played, so I just got caught up in the hype, and I. Uh, it must have been tough for you guys to record with me last week because I was a big fat whining bummer, and for good reason. Like it
No,
just,
you had every reason.
yeah, it was just an inglorious game to me. But I'm trying to take the high road, take the positive approach. There's this phrase, "The world breaks everyone," and sometimes people are stronger in the broken places. Hopefully that's me, and hopefully that's the Patriots.
Yeah, and you know what, Liam, I'll say this. I think this is just the start of something consistently good for the next 5 to 10 years if they do everything right, which I think they do because they have the three most important things in an organization. They have the quarterback, and in no particular order. They have the quarterback, they have the head coach, and they have the owner who's willing to do anything to get his team back on top. Because I mean, people are like, "Oh, it was the move," but like people got to realize that Robert Kraft move of moving on from Gerard Mayo and hiring Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
I don't know how many owners would have done that because some owners might have been like, you know what, give Mayo another year, see if he can improve it all, and then you make the decision. Like uh, after that, I think after the Buffalo win, the last game of the 2024 season, it was Kraft was like, okay, Gerard's fired, we gotta go get Mike Vrabel, and they got Mike Vrabel. And quick on that, Liam, I think it's hilarious how Mike Vrabel was in the Jets building, he was in the Falcons building, and he worked for the Browns last year. He worked for the Cleveland Browns, and none of them hired him. I'm shocked they didn't do that. Like
That is
crazy.
a fantastic point. Like, God, all these bottom feeders and they're bottom feeders for a reason. It's like you can't see the talent that's right under you. And to an extent, I imagine it's why a lot of teams probably wouldn't have moved on for somebody like Jalen Polk, where you have a player or a coach and you invest a lot in them and you give them a million chances, or you just don't cut bait because you sunk so many assets into them. It's probably why the Browns didn't do it, is they sunk so much into Kevin Stefanski. This
Right.
year, if Mike Vrabel was on their coaching staff, obviously, like hindsight's 2020, he just went to the Super Bowl. But even if he still wasn't a coach this year, I like to think he would have been in the running for the Browns gig with Stefanski being out and whatnot. But it's incredible. Like the Jets had the chance to do that. They
Mhm.
signed Aaron Glenn, so it's just like
Well,
those teams are shit for a reason.
here's the thing about the Jets. The only thing I'll say about them is they interviewed Mike Vrabel. They gave him the
Yeah,
interview and everything. Like, it's not their fault in the sense that Vrabel wanted the Patriots job.
of
Like,
course.
that's just bad luck. But like the Browns and the Falcons, like especially again, especially the Browns because he was in the building. He was
Yeah.
there. You could have just been like, you know what, Stefanski, you gave us like 5 good years. Thanks for everything, but we're gonna go in a different direction. But
Or even any of the shady back office deals that have happened a million times where they pull Mike Vrabel to the side and they say, hey, this Kevin Stefanski thing, it doesn't seem like it's working out. We're going to give him one more year, but barring a miracle, we'd like you as our next head coach. Kind of the Gerard Mayo thing, where it's like, hey, once Belichick's gone, like, you're the guy kind of thing.
right.
Would he have stuck around then? Who knows? But yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy. And actually, so as you can tell, we're gonna go in a bunch of different directions tonight. So just bear with us, okay? There's
yeah,
gonna be a lot.
we're
Like
free balling it.
yeah, we are. But before we get into all that, let's give a shout out to kind of, the sponsors behind the program, and I put sponsors in air quotes, but Couch Guy
Yeah,
Sports. Make sure to check out everything on Couch Guy Sports. You know the deal by now. Liam has Celtics podcast on there. Liam, when was the last time you guys recorded? And that's not a dig. That's actually wondering when you
no,
guys recorded last.
um, it was actually a blunder on my part. We recorded last week and my computer restarted while I was waiting for the file to download, so we lost it. So we are recording tomorrow night, and then Connor and I are going to a game against the Hornets on March 4th,
No
and we're going
way.
to record before that game. So that'll be good.
Nice. Good. So make sure
Yeah,
to check out everything up with the Celtics. Second in the East right now, and Jason Tatum potentially coming back. Question mark, question mark,
it's a
question
big
mark.
news.
So, but anyways, go check out everything on Couch Guy Sports. Also check out Sports Spider, that's Spider with a Y. If you click on the New England Patriots tab, we're probably the first podcast or Patriots content that's up there. So make sure to check out Sports Spider as well. So again, shout out Couch Guy Sports, shout out Sports Spider. All right, Liam, you mentioned Bill Belichick, so I had to bring this point up for a second just because I thought it was so wild. And I don't think we talked about this last week because obviously we had a Super Bowl to talk about. But so Belichick obviously dating Jordan Hudson. Apparently Hudson was wearing a T-shirt that was taunting Robert Kraft. Was wearing a T-shirt from Orchids of Asia Day Spa, which was the massage parlor that was tied to the Robert Kraft prostitution bust in 2019. This is according to ML Football on Twitter. I just gotta say this, like the amount of pettiness that comes out of Bill and anybody in his circle, like it knows no bounds. Like it just is crazy to me that, of course, Super Bowl Sunday, first Super Bowl that the Patriots have gotten to without Belichick. And of course, like before the game, it was like, oh, by the way, yeah, Hudson's wearing this shirt to basically smear Robert Kraft. It's like the timing couldn't have been any more like perfect. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
But you being the Bill Belichick non-apologist on this pod, I wanted your thoughts on it just really quick because I just thought it was kind of a funny little tidbit before the big game.
I don't know how much of this was Bill Belichick and how much was his girlfriend being. I don't particularly want to use stereotypes here, but sometimes they save time. I think girlfriend and wives have a very, very important role in relationships, and I think Most of the time, it's blindly, um, maybe I don't want to use propping up, but being willing to fight the battles for their husband when most of the time their husband doesn't care or maybe doesn't want to make a move in a certain circumstance. I would imagine if your boss was treating you poorly, Courtney would be the first one to tell you, fuck them, leave that job. Like you should know your worth. You're better than that. They don't understand what you do for this company, blah blah blah. I imagine my
Right.
girlfriend and fiance now, I gotta get used to that, would do the same thing.
It
And
takes
it's
time,
I've
but you
seen
get there.
100%. Yeah, I'll get it, by the time we're 10 years married. But like friggin' and I've seen the stereotype in TV shows and movies as much as I have in real life and whatnot. It just seems to be a trope to an extent. So I don't know how much of this is Bill Belichick wanting her to do this, or how much of it is her maybe asking about the situation in his past, him telling him his thoughts, which are obviously biased and skewed from his point of view. So in that story, Robert Kraft would be the antagonist, he'd be the protagonist, and she just kind of took it upon herself, being like, they didn't see your worth, like fuck them, like I'm gonna do this. And certainly the modern girl is probably different from what Bill Belichick's used to dating. Because I can't imagine before they left the house that day, Bill Belichick could be like, take that shit off. You're not wearing that out there. Like, I imagine girls, especially younger girls, are like, I'm gonna do whatever I want. Don't tell me what to do, kind of thing.
Mhm.
So I imagine Bill's probably had his fair share of battles in that circumstance, as well as he probably didn't have a whole lot of say in the matter of what she was wearing going out of the house. So I don't know how much of it is him. I tend to lean on the side that probably not a whole lot of it was. Obviously, he would have sparked this whole ordeal by, I'm sure he did tell her about his experiences with the Patriots and with Robert
Mhm.
Kraft and all this other jazz. But yeah, call me the Bill Belichick sympathizer here, the Bill Belichick whisperer. I don't think he had a whole lot of hand in this. I really don't think he's that petty of a guy.
I'm just gonna, and I'll keep this quick because I do want to talk about, the free agency and everything else because
Yeah,
that's the
football.
fun stuff. Yeah, the football stuff. But I think he had a little bit, if you're watching on screen, I'm doing like inches, like a little bit to do with this because you don't think in the back of his mind he's like, oh, you know what, this is taking a little shot at Robert after basically getting rid of me, even though we mutually parted ways a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
Like I wouldn't put it past him, and I'm just saying like you could have a point in the sense of like once they're going out, once everything, like it is what it
yeah,
is. But I think in the back of his mind, Belichick's like, oh, I know what you're doing. All right, I'm not going to stop this. Like, yeah, do you? Yeah, do your
yeah.
thing. Go ahead.
And it's kind of it's been a thing for through sports for as long as I can remember. Like in the early Kurt Warner Rams days, not early, like the I guess later, because he didn't he was on the Rams for a hell of a long time. But in those last couple seasons from like 2002 to 2004, he was always hurt and whatnot. And Kurt Warner's wife Brenda would always hop on the radio stands and be like, the team is doing my husband terribly. Like he had a concussion and they told him he was clear. I think one time he broke his hand. The team told him it was a bruise. She went on the radio and was like, I'm a nurse. I know that's not a bruise. Kurt, you should go get an x-ray. And Kurt Warner came out and said, I didn't really like that she did that. But of course, she's a human being. She has complete autonomy. You can't control every bit of what your spouse is doing, much like they can't control that bit of you. So he's just kind of threw his hands up and he told her in confidence when they were obviously at home that he was like, yeah, as the days go on, I'm imagining a life outside of the Rams. Sure enough, she goes on the radio and says that. And Kurt's like, I wish you didn't do that. I think it's another person who has complete autonomy and has probably very strong feelings on the matter.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of strong feelings just in this whole situation, but we'll kind of leave it at that. I just, like I said, found it to be a little funny tidbit before we got into the football stuff. But let's get into the football stuff, shall we? Because remember, Liam, this is a good football team now. It's not your,
It
excuse me,
is.
your 4-13 Patriots of 2023 and 2024. It's
Yeah.
pretty
Look
crazy.
what's changed from us begging and pleading for DeAndre Hopkins to come to us, even though we're not a viable free agent market. The taxes in Massachusetts are terrible. Why would anyone want to come to a losing team? Just from last season to this season, or the last couple seasons to this season, a whole lot's changed. People want to play for Mike Vrabel. People want to play for a team that almost won the fucking Super Bowl.
And you know what else has changed, Liam? We have a new defensive coordinator. So
Yeah.
So, breaking news, this happened. So, we're recording on Tuesday, February 17th. It's around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, this happened about half an hour prior to us recording. So, right around 7 o'clock. Zach Core, who was the interim defensive coordinator, has now been named the full-time defensive coordinator for the New England Patriots. This is according to multiple outlets. Diana Rossini, Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, all the big names. Tom Pelissero as well. Got to give him a shout out too because he was the first one. Terrell Williams has moved up to a higher role in the organization. What that role is exactly, we're not entirely sure, but it's probably going to be like, I would say, like an assistant head coach or some very high level within the Patriots organization. But overall, Liam, I mean, just kind of quick thoughts. I mean, this was the expected move. This was the move that everyone kind of thought was coming. And you know what? I give Zach Core credit. I can never say his last name. Is it Core? Cure? I think it's Cure.
I heard Kerr.
Yeah, Kerr. Like, there's so many different ways. We're gonna go
Yeah.
with Kerr. Zach Kerr is your now full-time defensive coordinator for the Patriots. And you know what, Liam, you know what I always say to you, the numbers don't lie. So just to give you a couple numbers in perspective, the Patriots had the eighth best overall defense in the NFL. And we're talking about, just to make sure I have my numbers right, ninth in passing defense and then sixth in rush defense throughout the whole season. Good for eighth overall. Again, this was all under Zach Kerr. And by the way, if you remember the playoffs before the Super Bowl, they had let up, let's see, three in the Chargers game. They let up what, 16 in the Texans game, seven in the Broncos game. He had led a defense to giving up 26 points in three uh divisional and wild card and conference games before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So the defense was balling before, they went to the Super Bowl. And obviously, like we put it into perspective too, even in the Super Bowl, like they gave up
Yes.
one touchdown. And they had like it was what, the scoop and score. And then I think that was it. And then Darnold had one touchdown pass, and then the rest of it was field goals. So
Yep.
the Patriots defense played well, and I think Zach Kerr earned this title. But I'm just going to ask you this question just out of, just for the sake of the hypothetical. Would you have liked to have seen maybe, and I'm just throwing a name out there because it's the only name I know that's still out there, a name like Jim Schwartz? Was that a name that you kind of wanted to see them maybe at least interview, or was it like, you know what, keep it simple, let Zach Kerr be the guy and we move on?
Yeah, I mean, in most circumstances, I I do like Jim Schwartz, proven name, historian of the game. I do very much like him and respect him as a coach. But in this circumstance, it's if it's not broke, don't fix it. I wouldn't move off. I think the real weirdness was a couple days ago we found out that Terrell Williams won't be the defensive coordinator, that he'd be moving up. They just hadn't announced that Zach Kerr was our defensive coordinator. And like, what a weird situation that I don't know how many times that's happened in sports,
Yeah.
per se, where somebody's sick. In this circumstance, he has cancer, and and loses his job because of that is pretty wild and a pretty new one as well. Because it's it's kind of tough either way. It's like oh, we're sorry you had cancer. Now we're going to move you to this different role. It's nice that they kept him around, didn't let him go, but I'm sure he obviously was very excited about being the defensive coordinator and then just never got that chance. And
Mhm.
this guy just kind of benefits from tragedy and does really well.
Right.
So it's just a very weird situation in that circumstance. But yeah, like I'd stick with Zach Kerr. Like it worked and it worked like really well. So like I'd be afraid to bring anyone else in there.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I'm glad you said that last piece of it because it's the continuity factor, right? Being together and keeping things going as long as you can. Because look at all the turnover that's happened since even before, even like in the last years of Belichick, with all of the offensive coordinators, all the de facto defensive coordinators. Now you have somebody that, by the way, led you to a top 10 NFL defense in all the important categories, helped you get to a Super Bowl, held the Super Bowl winning team to one offensive touchdown again,
Yeah.
just re-emphasizing that. And now you have a full offseason with him. The defense can get even better, and you can keep guys together for someone that they played for all year. Because I think if Terrell Williams came in, yes, like I know he was originally going to be the defensive coordinator, but he might have had, some different call outs for different packages. He might have had some different blitz packages, maybe. Like who knows what the differences would have been, but it would have been maybe a little bit different lingo, maybe just a little bit different calls. So you know what? Stick with the guy that's been there, stick with the guy that's been successful. And again, Terrell Williams moves up and he doesn't get screwed because, he was battling cancer all year. So you know
Yeah,
what? I think this is a win-win for the Patriots. And I think it's a good move. And now you know that going into next season, Mike Vrabel is your head coach, Josh McDaniels is your offensive coordinator, and Zach Kerr is your defensive coordinator. And now you can just build the pieces. You don't have to go into, okay, you know, who's the new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator going to be? Do you remember who the defensive coordinator was before in 24? Do you remember?
it was Scott Van Pelt was the QB coach.
Alex Van Pelt will forgive you.
Or yeah, Scott Van Pelt. Yeah,
See,
no.
but see, you
Oh
forget, right?
no, it was
Now
yeah,
you
no,
remember.
no, I don't actually.
DeMarcus Covington.
DeMarcus Covington, right? Okay.
Right? Remember? But see, you proved my point because it was so bad, like, and because this year was so good, and because there was actually good coaches in the building, you forget about all the other crap that you dealt with for the past couple of years. And even like the year before, when it was Bills last year, and you had Billy O'Brien as OC, and then for DC, it was like Mayo was kind of the de facto, defensive coordinator. The point is, they have specific titles and they have consistent coaches that are coming back for a second year. The only one that's not coming back is like a line coach that ended up going to Pittsburgh, and it wasn't even Doug Marone. So,
Yeah.
so shout out to Zach Kerr, very well deserved promotion. And that defense, I can't wait for it next year because assuming everyone's healthy and everyone's back, Liam, for the most part, it's going to be good again next year.
Yes, and also like this is a first year defensive coordinator who made about as big of a splash as you can as a defensive coordinator. It's really easy for people to get fixated on the offensive side of the ball. When Sean McVay comes in, all of a sudden he's scheming people wide open. There's this dynamic Rams offense. Todd Gurley has 22 touchdowns a season. You can go, wow, this offensive coordinator is just incredible. With
Right.
defense, it's a lot harder to see that. The casual fan doesn't see great defensive coaching. And in fact, if they do see great defensive coaching, it usually reverberates in an ugly game. So it's not just very aesthetically pleasing. It's not as palatable for fans to take in a new upstart defensive coordinator as clearly as it would be for an offensive one. And that's been the way the league's been going for a while is they want these young student of the game, brilliant minded offensive coaches, Ben Johnson, and I already mentioned Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, people like that. And Kyle Shanahan kind of started the whole thing where he's just like, oh my God, this works. He's been to two Super Bowls. But like you don't really hear about it for defensive coordinators. When you think about defense coordinators like Vic Fangio, who's been around for 20 some odd years and has been running the same scheme everywhere he goes. You used to have the Ryan brothers who was like, oh, Rex Ryan and Rob Ryan, they're gonna come make this defense great. But like it's just not as dynamic as it would be an offense coordinator. So when you get an opportunity to get one of these guys and have one of these guys, from Jump Street, keep them for as long as you can. Like the Rams aren't looking to part ways with Sean McVay. Packers aren't looking to part ways with Matt LaFleur. Like Cliff Kingsbury has put some dynamic offenses together. He left under his own volition. He was very sought after. I bet the Skins would have kept him this year if he chose to.
Right. And besides Kerr, look at the rest of the coaches on the staff. Again, Mike Vrabel, multiple time head coach. Josh McDaniels, multiple time head coach. Doug
Yeah.
Marrone, multiple time head coach. Thomas Brown, respected in the industry. Ashton Grant, quarterback coach, respected in the industry. So they have a good staff in place. Keep all of these coaches, like you said, together and just let the Patriots go out and do what they have to do. So again, shout out to Zach Curtin, shout out to Terrell Williams too, getting his promotion and the Patriots doing the right thing by him.
Beating cancer is pretty tight.
It is. No, shout out to him for beating cancer and shout out to him for getting a promotion as well. So good for them. But anyways, really quick before we get into the actual free agency trade talk and everything, Liam, I don't know if you saw this piece of news, but Ernie Adams, you know Ernie Adams, right?
Of course.
Obviously, he got named the interim head coach at Phillips Andover Academy in Massachusetts. Did you see that?
Yeah, I didn't see that he did, but I know he was coaching there from the last interview I saw with him on Edelman's talk show Games and Names.
Yeah.
I know he was coaching there. I didn't know he's the interim coach though. That team is going to be so good.
Oh, undefeated. I think, and I know you don't like him, but Dave Portnoy quote tweeted it and said, "Can I bet on Phillips Andover winning the NESCAC next year? Like that team is going to be a powerhouse or something like that." And
A
I'm like,
hundred
"You're
percent.
not wrong." Like,
Yeah, I'd love to go to a game. I wonder if it's just like a jam-packed. I don't know if it would be people going there to see, a guy coach, but I would
I
love
know.
to go to a Phillips Andover game.
That game, that should be like the Phillips Andover Phillips Exeter game. I think that's the Thanksgiving game, but it's still they play a lot of good teams in that NESCAC
Where in
conference.
Andover is it? Do you know?
I don't off the
You're
top of my head.
relatively from that area. It's the next town over from my girlfriend. I should swing over and catch a game.
I was gonna say because in Phillips Andover is a really really good private school too for all sports, football, basketball, baseball. But shout out Ernie Adams for continuously
Stud.
doing the thing, man.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, I just wanted to get that out there. All right, enough's enough. Let's get into it. The off season. So, Liam, where do you want to go first? Do you want to talk about a couple potential trades? Do you want to talk about a couple free agents? What direction do you want to go? You can pick to start us off.
I say we start with free agency. Let's
Okay.
rock down that rabbit hole. I I am looking at this quickly. Quick aside before we get into free agency. You know Humphrey Bogart by any chance?
I don't.
He's an old-timey movie star who was in a ton of phenomenally classic movies like The African Queen and Casablanca. He went to Phillips Exeter or Phillips Andover, and so did JFK Jr. So like
Yeah,
a little
there you
fun
go.
fact for him. Like no shit, I was checking out their alumni right now. Stacked class. Anyway, free agency is what I'm
Yeah.
thinking of here. Let's dive into that.
So free agency doesn't start until March. The tampering period doesn't start until right around like March 12th, March 13th. Again, the date's not exact. I don't know the exact date, but it's right around there. Here's what I'm going to do, Liam. I'm going to ask you first. Who is one free agent? Now, it could be on offense or it could be on defense, either one. Who is one free agent that you, first of all, realistically think the Patriots could get, and who you want them to bring in to help this football team next year? So just one, because we have a whole list here, and we'll kind of just bounce around and kind of, see what they're about. But
Yeah. Who do I want? I the number one guy I want
mhm,
is Jalen Phillips.
that's a good pick.
Defensive end, outside linebacker hybrid from the finest university in all the land. Almost national champions. The U. I love this guy. He was on the Birds. Traded from the Dolphins to the Birds. And he's just always been a phenomenal athlete, always been hampered by injury. But when I think of this team, our calling card all year was defense. I really, really enjoyed watching this pass rush. And when I picture the team next year, I picture it without some of my favorite additions from this year, and one of which would be Caleb Von Chason. I had an absolute blast this season watching him play football. Like, damn, he was really, really good. And all credit to him for having a renaissance year for himself. So if we're going to replace him in a defense that needs an edge, I like him as my realistic option.
Okay.
I'd like him. I think we could get him. That seems realistic to me.
I do too, because I think there was some interest in him at the deadline before, because he started out on the Dolphins, then I think he got traded to the Eagles, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
at the
Yeah,
deadline.
yeah. So there was interest there, and I think the Patriots kind of want to shore up that defense a little more. But I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going to go on the offensive side of the ball,
We need
and
help.
I'm going to go with Isaiah Likely, the tight
No
end,
shit.
the tight
Bringing him
end.
home.
Yeah, the tight end from the Ravens. You know where he went to high school?
Everett High?
He went to Everett High, and he went to Malden High School for a couple of years. Then he transferred to
Did he?
Everett for his senior year. He had what was his stats? He had I think they said 59. He caught 59 passes for 917 yards and 11 touchdowns as a junior.
Damn.
So that was as a junior. Like that's
Yeah.
pretty good. And I mean, he played at Coastal Carolina for 4 years. Again, with the
He went to
Ravens,
CC. What a
he
small
did.
school.
He did.
Hmm.
As of right now in the NFL, he has 135 career receptions, about 1,600 receiving yards, and 15 receiving touchdowns. I think there's a couple factors here, right, Liam? I think the fact that he's 25 years old, so he's entering the prime of his career.
Yeah.
I think the fact that I think they could get him at a hometown discount to be like, hey, come back home to Boston. And it helps Drake May because let's face it, you're not going to get rid of Hunter Henry this year,
No.
but Austin Hooper's probably gone. Like they're probably going to get rid of him. He's getting older. You don't need two older tight ends. You get younger at the position. You get faster at the position. You get more athletic at the position. And I think that that is somebody that Drake May can develop kind of a chemistry with for the next 4 to 5 years. I really, really do. So I don't know. I think, and I'm just kind of like team tight end in the sense of not replace Hunter Henry, but
Yeah.
complement him with someone younger. So that way, when Hunter Henry's contract either is up or the Patriots, release him or whatever, you're not totally like, you're not grasping for straws trying to find a tight end replacement. You already have it. So that
Yeah.
for,
Get ready for that next period.
yeah, no, I think those are the two. I think both of those, Jalen Phillips and Isaiah Likely, are very reasonable, and I think the Patriots could make a run at both of them. Now,
Yeah.
before we get into like more free agency names, I want to talk about two potential trades, and I just want your thoughts on them, what you think it would cost, etc. So pick offense or defense because one player's offense, one player's defense. So just pick.
So I just went with a defensive player, so let's go offense.
Okay, so for offense, the name that everybody's talking about is AJ Brown, wide receiver of your Philadelphia Eagles. The connections there, Mike Vrabel, the Birds. Yep, Mike Vrabel was AJ Brown's first head coach. The two of them are still close to this day. Vrabel, I don't know if you actually remember this, Liam, but there's the clip of the NFL draft when AJ Brown gets traded to the Eagles, and Mike Vrabel looks like he like saw a ghost. He looks like he wants to
Yeah.
be anywhere but there because AJ Brown got traded and they lost, he lost his number one receiver. So I think with all the stories that are kind of going on with AJ Brown's unhappy, you see kind of the body language, you see kind of not involved in the Eagles offense as much as he thinks he should. Now, here's my question to you. First of all, should the Patriots even attempt to go get AJ Brown? And if they do, what is a good trade package that says to Howie Roseman, you know what? This is a good deal. I'm going to take this. Bye bye, AJ.
That second part of the question is the most important because Howie gets the best of everyone. And you have to form a trade that makes him feel like he's winning out on this. Unless AJ Brown has become just such a headache for the team that they're willing to part with him for a fifth, which wouldn't surprise me in the wildest scheme of the things. I really don't think AJ Brown is the fault of this. A lot of times, like he's definitely weird. The whole reading inner excellence on the sidelines was weird, and then it became a phenomenon that the team and the fan base ran with it and ended up being kind of a good thing. It did wonders for that book Inner Excellence too. They had never sold as many books as when he was on the sidelines with it. But I don't think it's exactly him doing a lot of the shit stirring as much as it is the media. Probably a lot of what you said because of the body language and whatnot. And the media just, you give them an inch and they take a mile. They're looking for body language and they just want to write a story about it. So I don't know if the team is just fed up with having themselves in the media because of this guy. Where I'm sure he's fantastic to work with, like super religious dude, devout, and seems like a genuinely good person. Cares deeply about football and definitely cares about his stats, but he has made it clear many times he just wants to win. And that's evident. He's got a touchdown in both Super Bowl that he's been in, one of which he got to. But he's a phenomenal player. I just think I wouldn't be surprised if the team was just having him on your team as a magnet for scrutiny through not a lot of fault of his own. So I would say you'd have to give up. I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a fifth round pick, but just if I'm spitballing right now, I know Howie wants to get the best of him. You'd have to get a good, pretty good compensation for him. Howie might try and squeeze a third out of us, and I don't know if he'd do it for a player. I have just something in my mind tells me that wouldn't really be the route that he would go for, but he'd go for picks that you could argue would be as good a compensation for AJ Brown. So maybe like a third and a fifth, or yeah, a third and a fourth next year, something of the sort. I think would get it done. And AJ Brown's 28. Like, I know 30 is a magical number that it's scary, but this past weekend, on Liam's most recent edition is what is Liam watching while he's getting stoned in his driveway. Uh, I did exactly that, and I watched Michael Crabtree highlights when he was on the Raiders, and that was, the tail end of his career, and it even bled over into his Ravens years, and he was good. He was really good at like the age of 32. Like Michael Crabtree was going out there and balling. And I never liked Michael Crabtree on the 49ers. Just on that team, I think some wide receivers can age with grace, and I think somebody who's crazy about their fitness and their physique and as dedicated to the game as AJ Brown is, if you're getting him at 28 years old, there's probably not a whole lot I wouldn't give up for somebody like that. And there's no doubt that he, in the back of his mind, could probably use a fresh start too, where he wasn't getting the ball a ton throughout the season, and then we'd force feed him in one game, and then he'd get Jack in the next couple of games for a running football team. But I'm
So
sure good of him
what's the
would
final package? Give me a
vibrant.
final package for AJ Brown.
I would say a third and a fifth. Uh,
Okay.
I would imagine something like that. Would you
Okay.
do that?
I mean, I would, yes. A third and a fifth I would do, but I think so to kind of before I give my opinion, did you want to say anything else? Because I know you were going on poetically, might I
Yeah,
say, about AJ
yeah,
Brown.
of course. I'm thinking through it in my mind, but yeah, no, I think that pretty much sums it up.
Okay, so I think we're on the same wavelength. I'm just thinking like it might cost a little more. So I think it's going to be a second and a fourth. I think that's kind of the range that Howie Roseman's looking for. A third and a fifth, I would do that in a second. I'd be like, take the third, take the fifth. Come on, AJ, we'll get you to Logan. We'll get you, press conference, all that. But I think Howie Roseman is a good negotiator. He knows how to get the picks. And so I think he's going to be like, you know what? You need to give me at least a second before we even continue this conversation. Then you throw on another pick and be like, oh, a fourth round pick, maybe a fifth round pick, like you said. But you need a number one receiver. You need somebody that's going to be involved in the offense. You need somebody that's going to be able to create separation and in a big game, go out and get you 7, 8 catches for, 70 to 85 yards and maybe get you a touchdown or two. Because listen, we love Stephon Diggs. We all loved
Yeah.
him this year, and he was great this year for this football team. But in the playoffs, yeah, I know he caught a touchdown reception against the Texans, but he was, I don't want to say non-existent, but he wasn't anywhere close to where he was in the regular season as a thousand
Yeah,
yard
but the
receiver.
offense was non-existent too. Like, who
That's
really
true
had a good
too.
game in the playoffs?
That's a good point. Maybe like Ramondre Stevenson, you could say,
Yeah,
but that's probably it. But anyways, again, we're talking receivers. But I think for AJ Brown, I think you have to be really like sold on the fact that this is your number one receiver at age 28, 29.
and are you?
I want to say yes, but I think there's better options. I really do. I think
And that's the
there's
thing. You have to look at the whole chessboard here.
right. And that I think is part of the problem. So would you trade for AJ Brown? Sure. But do I think the Patriots should? At this point, I've kind of talked myself out of it. I'm out. I'm out on AJ Brown now. I'm out. If
Yeah,
they now that's to say if they somehow ended up getting him, I'd be happy. Don't get me
of
wrong.
course. Yeah, then I'm all in.
But at this point, it's like if they didn't get him, I'm not going to be shocked. I'm not going to be surprised. There's a different receiver that I want that I'll talk about in a second. But I think we're good on AJ Brown, right? I think we
Tyreek
kind of
Hill. It's
agree.
just because he's such a good dude, right? You need, yeah.
No. Anyways, so so real quick, Tyreek Hill released by the Dolphins. Do you have any interest in bringing him into New England? I don't. I think he's especially coming off the ACL injuries and stuff like that. I think he might lose a step, which is probably still faster than a lot of other guys. But still,
Yeah,
I'm good on him. I don't need Tyreek Hill.
I think he'd be sick. He just seems like he sucks. Like he just doesn't seem very fun to be around at all. Where you go from AJ Brown, who's like the most pious, seems overtly friendly kind of guy, to like Tyreek Hill, who just seems kind of like a dickhead. You're like,
I know.
like I would not want to get a beer with Tyreek Hill. And I like you said, even if he loses a step, he's still going to be faster than the rest of the league. You saw that video of him in that interview, right, where he was like, even in Kansas City, and he kind of like nods and walks away. Did you see that?
Yeah, he's gonna go back to the Chiefs. Like
Yeah, he's got to
that's
go back to the Chiefs. It
it's
just seems so
so
obvious.
oh, it's ridiculously obvious. Like
Yeah.
that's the world's worst kept secret. Like he's
A hundred
going
percent,
back.
and it makes so much sense too because Mahomes is going to be out for most of next season. They might even sit Mahomes for the whole season and tank for a high draft pick.
Yeah,
Tyreek Hill can also sit out the whole season and then come back, completely healthy though older, with Patrick Mahomes and a top pick. Like the timeline just happens to fit so perfectly that you're like, that's exactly what you said. Like he's going to the fucking Chiefs.
I know. It's beyond insane. But all right, let's talk about the defensive player, and this is the one that I'm more interested in talking about, and I think you are too. Max Crosby, defensive end, Las Vegas Raiders. Multiple reports are out there saying that, Crosby wants out of Vegas. He wants a new start. He said during Super Bowl week that he'd love to play for Mike Vrabel. So this bears the question. We just talked about it with AJ Brown, and I think just to make sure we're on the same page, don't even bother. Not don't bother with AJ Brown, but it's probably not the best of ideas at this moment. Is that fair to say?
Relatively.
Relatively? Okay. And again, if you want to, clear up something at the end, feel free. But this is the guy that I want, Liam. This is who I want more than anybody. I
This
want
is
Max
your Moby
Crosby.
Dick, your white whale.
Yes, this is the guy I want. I want Max Crosby in a Patriots uniform. And here's why. Four-time Pro Bowler, wants a new start. What's one of the positions, Liam, that everyone's saying the Patriots need? They need a pass rusher.
Picked an
On
edge rusher.
Right. So if you have Christian Barmore and Milton Williams in the middle, and you have Max Crosby on the outside, you're telling me that that defense isn't close to like a Texans or a Broncos or Seahawks or something like that, with
Yeah.
all the other pieces in place, like Christian Gonzalez, Robert Spillane, all these pieces. That's the piece you need. And you know what, Liam? I'll say this. At this point, I don't want them picking at 31. I want them to trade that draft pick for a proven veteran player that obviously fills a need. Fills a need, makes the defense better. Give up a first round pick. I get it. It is what it is. But guess what? You're getting production. You're getting a motivated guy. You're getting somebody
Yeah.
that wants
A
to,
killer.
that will want to come here. Exactly. And like I was looking the other day, there's a new like sports app. I don't know if you've heard of it. Kalshi, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that one, right? Where it's like data and
The ads
everything.
drive me fucking nuts.
Yeah, they were saying that like the Broncos have the best chance to get him, and I'm like, first of all, why would you trade in division? Like that makes zero sense. Like Vegas would have to pay even more than they would have to pay for.
Do you have that app?
I don't, but I've seen all the advertisements too and everything. And I'm just like, okay, I don't need this. But going back to it, I think Max Crosby is the move here, Liam, because again, takes care of the outside pass rusher. You're probably going to have to give up a first, and then maybe you give up either a second or a third next year, and then maybe you give up another pick. Maybe you give up a player. Maybe you have to give up like a Pop Douglas or something like that. But you know what? I think you do whatever it takes to beef up that defense, and then you can focus all of your attention in free agency and the draft in improving the offense.
To an
So,
extent, but
yeah.
we also need defensive back help and stuff like that. So no matter what, they will have to address some needs in free agency on the defense.
Oh, of course. No, of course they will.
Yeah.
100%.
But but I agree. Like sink a first round pick into a guy that you know is really good and is going to be really good. Like I don't think there's any question that wherever Max Crosby goes, he's gonna be fucking awesome. Like he's gonna be worth every bit of a first round pick that there is. And he's 28. So like that's a good age. All the same arguments are made for AJ Brown. They double for him. Pass rushers can do it for a lot longer. Calais Campbell's still floating around. I mean, fuck it, you
I
can do
know.
it for as long as you can do it for as long as you want, really, as long as you're willing to put up with the grind. And I think he loves the grind. Um, I just I think if I'm Max Crosby, you have to pick very carefully here. He's a free agent.
No, so he's not a free agent, but he's requested a trade and everything. Like he wants out of Vegas. He wants nothing to do with Vegas.
So I don't know how much say he's going to have in this. So it will come down to compensation. And I bet a lot of teams are going to throw the book at Max Crosby. Like I can see the Browns being like, "Oh, we have the defensive rookie of the year. We have Miles Garrett, the defensive player of the year. Let's go get Max Crosby." And you're like, "No, anyone but the fucking Browns." But like I'm sure there's a lot of teams that are going to want him. I heard like 49ers rumors and stuff like that. And if you're Max Crosby, you also have to pick and choose where you want to go carefully. He very much seems like a Mike Vrabel guy, though. Like, he's a Gruden grinder. You could tell he would love to play for Mike Vrabel. Like when he said that, even though there's no soundbite of him actually doing it, you could hear it roll off his tongue.
I
Yeah, I'd sink a first round pick into him. No doubt about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this year's first, next year's second or third. I would try to sell him
Bold.
on the third, but if you have to get up the second, so be it. And then if you have to trade a player, like the Raiders need everything. They need everything. But you're not going to trade your cornerstones. You're not going to trade Christian Gonzalez. You're not going to trade Milton Williams. Like, and this might sound crazy, but I would even like I know I talked about it a second ago, but I might even dangle Christian Barmore in there just because of the legal issues that are going on with him. Like
Yeah.
that's the
I don't
thing
know
is
if they
like
want him.
I know I don't think they would either, but you have to like figure it. Honestly, even Stephon Diggs, like wave him in front, be like, hey, he had 1,000 yard season, but then same thing. It's like the legal issues and stuff like that. So I don't know. The point that I'm trying to kind of drive home is this is a guy that you can use right now for your football team. You just made it to the Super Bowl. Your defense was pretty good, not good enough, but still pretty good. And Max Crosby brings your defense from an A minus to an A plus,
Yeah,
just like that.
basically, from what I'm getting from what you're saying, like, you'd give them a blank check and be like, "Yeah, whatever you want,
Yep,
first round pick,
yep.
player. Let's keep it reasonable here, but you could have whatever fucking player you want. You want some picks next year? I won't give you two firsts, back to back firsts, but just about anything else is on the table. Like you're handing them the equivalent of a blank check.
Well, in this case, yes, because you think about this too, and this is something that Patriots fans need to realize. Christian Gonzalez is going to get paid this offseason. He's due
Yeah,
for a contract extension. Now he's eligible for one. And guess what? Guess who's eligible next offseason, Liam?
Drake May.
Drake May. And you know they're going to pick up his option and you know they're going to pay him. So while he's on this rookie contract, while Drake May has this small window for his rookie contract, you need to maximize it. And then if it doesn't work out, then get the money off the books in a couple of years. I don't think that's going to happen. Right now, this is the offseason. You just came off a Super Bowl appearance. You have the opportunity to add. Guys want to come back to New England to play for Mike Vrabel, to play in the Patriots organization.
Yeah,
They realize how tight everybody is. So you know what? Go take advantage of it. Don't sit on your heels. Don't wait. I know Mike Vrabel had the quote, younger, faster, cheaper players, but guess what? Sometimes you got to splurge a little bit. This is a guy to splurge for. Like that's
yeah. It's
that's the that's the guy.
you don't want to be. What is that word that I always use to describe cheap and people who hold back? You don't want to be,
Like apprehensive,
no, it's
timid.
starts with an N.
Okay. Anyways, so yeah, Liam, we're not doing that. Jeez, man.
It's a real word.
I'm not
Just
saying it.
it means exactly what I said. It means cheap and you're holding back your
I know, but we're not. Let's not do that. Okay.
just
Let's not do that. Okay.
playing a
A-
little Wordle.
Anyways, there's one other guy, and this is literally just a 30-second like this is another white whale of mine that I would love to, a dream, so to speak. If I'm the Patriots and you want to get really bold, I would call up the Minnesota Vikings and say, what is it going to take to get one Justin Jefferson here? Because honestly, Jefferson's 26. He's turning 27 this year, but still, he's younger than AJ Brown. He's unhappy in Minnesota. I mean, last year he looked miserable playing with JJ
He
McCarthy.
did.
So, unless that offense is going to change to go back to how it was, I think the Patriots, at least pick up the phone and be like, hey, listen, what's the price tag? Tell us what it is. And if it's like, a first, a couple seconds, whatever, if it's two firsts, I don't know. You might want to think about that if you can bring him in. But that's again,
Would you
that's just
give
a
two firsts?
I don't know if I would give two firsts, but if that was
Trading the
like
future there.
I know, but you're gonna probably have to give up at least 31, and then you got to give up something after that. You
Yeah.
have to you have to give up like if it was like and I know they don't. I know this isn't Madden. I understand that, but if they gave up like this year's first, then like a 2029 first or something like that, I'd be like, yeah, do that up. You know what I mean? Because whatever. But again, this isn't Madden. This isn't the NBA, so like there's no telling what that's gonna be. So. I don't know. But again, that was just a quick like I would love it to happen. It's not going to happen, but that would solve a good amount of problems for the offense. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
But all right, so here's what we'll do, Liam. We'll just do again, we're not going to do all of these. We're going to do like I'm going to pick five guys. Okay, so five guys that either you just want or you don't want or you think that a contract, what the contract could be, and we'll kind of go all over the board. So we'll start with it's going to be primarily offense. I'm just going to say that because let's be honest. If we had to pick one side of the ball, the offense is still for the strides they made in 2025, there's still a lot that they need to get in there.
Yes.
So,
Agreed.
all right. First name that I'm going to throw out there. Kyle Pitts, tight end, Falcons. Do you want him? Do you not want him? What's the contract look like? Because Fox Sports has Kyle Pitts signing with the Patriots this offseason. Just throwing it out there.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah, Fox Sports doesn't know shit. But I honestly don't know if I want Kyle Pitts. I mean, like, I'm very biased. I hate the University of Florida. I fucking hate Kyle Pitts. But like, I'd be lying if I didn't say he has all the dimensions of a Hall of Fame tight end. And I've even heard some arguments that he's on a Hall of Fame tight end's pace. I don't really get that one. I know he had 1,000 yards his rookie year, which was really cool and all that jazz. I what do you think?
Kyle Pitts is my third tight end that I would want.
Okay,
He's
so you're
third.
taking likely over
I'm
him.
taking likely over him, and there's another one that I'll bring up in a couple minutes. And I think you'll like this pick. I think you'll like when I say the name. But Kyle Pitts, I think he would help this offense. I really do.
Yeah,
But I think he's a little overrated. And again, like I know I say they're overrated, but if it came out tomorrow, breaking news, Adam Schefter reporting, Patriots are in agreement with Kyle Pitts, I'd be like, okay, that's a good football move because
yeah,
it brings in again, like we talked about earlier, right? Compliments Hunter Henry. You get faster, you get younger, and that's what you need. You need to get faster and younger and have some longevity in the position. So
yeah. I just don't know if the Patriots are in position to be splurging on two number one tight ends.
I know. So and again, but you can also restructure like Hunter Henry's contract. You can restructure Milton
Yeah,
Williams' contract. All the guaranteed money. I know for Milton Williams specifically, all of his money is guaranteed. So you can convert it to a bonus. He'll still get his money, and you save money in the cap. Like you
yeah.
knock down a significant amount and save in the cap. But yeah, Kyle Pitts, if you got him, great. If not, whatever. All right, let's switch up the position real quick. Let's go wide receiver. Jawan Jennings, wide receiver, 49ers. I'm kind of like a meh on this one. I'm like, I don't love him. I don't hate him. But like he was kind of just like another guy in San Francisco. I don't know.
I like him, and I think that would be cool if we got somebody like that. He's a gadget guy, kind of an old school Patriots player. He um he almost had a 1,000 yard season last year. I think he got ejected right before he could in his last game. He was going to get it with relative ease in that game. He got ejected really early on. And I know he was in the headlines all this past season for kind of being an asshole and like he called Shelby Harris a name or something. He got really upset. Fuck that guy.
Oh,
But
good,
like
good.
Yeah, but I like him. Like threw a touchdown in the Super Bowl. He can clearly throw some passes. They give him end arounds. Like he's just a kind of do it all player. Reminds me a lot of Antoine Randall L. If you remember
Oh
him.
yeah, Steelers. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, where you're just like, man, this guy's good at everything, not great at one single thing. But when I look back on those early 2000s years, like the uh Steelers and the Redskins. He was phenomenal on both teams. Like he was just so fun to watch. I'd like Juwan Jennings. I think that'd be cool.
Okay. So you're a fan of Juwan Jennings. I'm kind of meh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Next one, we'll go on defense. Let's see here. Who was the one? Kobe Bryant. Not that Kobe Bryant,
Go.
RIP,
Oh, fuck.
but Kobe Bryant, safety for the, I believe it was the Seattle Seahawks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, he was.
26 years old, versatile safety. Um, there are some rumblings that Jalen Hawkins could leave this offseason. So if they don't re-sign Hawkins, I think Kobe Bryant could kind of like, kind of slide in and be aggressive in that Vrabel defense. So I think he would be a pretty good fit. And also, like, and this is just me being petty, you're taking someone off the Super Bowl winning team. So, like, that's always cool to just get a Super Bowl winner, like you did with Bill Williams last year. That's exactly what you
Yep.
did. So, I would be good with Kobe Bryant coming here if Jalen Hawkins leaves to go elsewhere.
Well, first of all, got this bad, Larry. Kobe. I love it. Not only because he's named after the greatest basketball player that's ever lived, but I didn't expect Jalen Hawkins to be as good as he was this season, and he absolutely crushed it. And as much as I loved his acrobatic interception against the Browns, and he had an equally crazy interception on the sideline, or maybe almost interception, I can't remember if it counted or not. But he had some really splash plays, and a lot of it was his doing, but I think a lot of it was the system too. And if we can get a young guy in there like Kobe Bryant to play that Jalen Hawkins role, I don't see why you don't do that. Like I have a hard time splitting up what was Jalen Hawkins and what was the system. Um, yeah, no, I think that'd be sweet. I love Kobe Bryant.
The Seattle Kobe Bryant, and
Yeah, I love that Kobe Bryant, but the Seattle one, I am a big fan of.
okay, so we agree Kobe Bryant coming here would be a good signing. That would be
Yeah.
a good one. Okay. Uh, Next one, we'll do two more. Next one, because again, folks, we're going to talk more in depth about free agency. Mike has a bunch of draft prospects that in our Tuck Rule Takes notes that we have, and he's got a lot of names on there. So credit to Mike for coming up with that list. But a couple other free agents: Isaac left
Suomalo.
Sumalo, left guard, Pittsburgh Steelers. Kind of a name that people have been saying is kind of like the big name right now for guards. The only thing here, Liam, 32 years old,
Yeah.
turning 33, so he's a little on the older side. And I mean, we already have, not for nothing, but we already have an older lineman in Morgan Moses, and you want to get younger. So I don't know if it's better to almost like go after like an Elijah Vera Tucker maybe, but like Samalo, I don't want anything to do with. I think they'll overpay him. So I don't know. What do you think? And by the way,
Former.
just real quick, Elijah Vera Tucker, 26 years old. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, but Vera Tucker sucked too.
Yeah, but I mean, you want to get younger, right? And you want to improve that line. But anyways,
Yeah.
Isaac Samalo, go ahead.
I agree with your overall sentiments. Former Eagle, I did like him on the Birds, but he is older, and realistically, like he's good. He's not great. If you're not a top lineman, then you're like all the rest of them. And I don't think our guards were so bad that we should, like you said, most likely be overpaying for a guy that's okay. Like
Right.
he's fine. I'd rather sit and keep Wilson. Oh my God, that
Jared
was one of
Wilson.
my
Jared
Jared
Wilson.
Wilson at guard and let him develop into something good and then keep on Onwenu on the other side instead of going out and paying a guy that's older. Like I'd rather develop in-house. And if Bradbury's going to move on and we're going to move Jared Wilson to center, then maybe we can have a talk. Because I don't want somebody who's, I don't really want another rookie coming in there to figure it out and whatnot. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I'd lean in your direction. Again, I'd agree with you. Probably not. I like to think you could do better.
Yeah, and I agree, and there's also the option too, if you wanted to, where you could keep Jared Wilson at left guard, and you could pay for a center, and you could get rid of Garrett Bradbury. You could pay like I think it's Tyler Lindebaum or something
Yeah.
in Baltimore. Connor McGovern's another name. I know he's on the Bills. I know how you feel about the Bills, but still a younger option at center. So you could go that route, but you need to improve that offensive line somehow. You need to.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Lindenbaum's probably going to be like a top free agent though. Like
Oh yeah.
he's been a Pro Bowler and has been phenomenal for many, many years.
He's gonna be the Ronnie Stanley of last year. That's what he's
Yeah.
gonna be. When we were all
Ronnie Stanley sucked this year.
I
Thank God
know.
we didn't get him.
I know. All right, last free agent, and then we'll kind of wrap up because again, we'll get more into it next week with Mike. I'm gonna go another tight end from your University of Miami, Cleveland Browns tight end David Njoku. Now, if the Patriots struck out on Isaiah Likely, I would be okay with David Njoku being in this offense. I would be. Still young enough to make an impact. He's a good red zone threat. For all the crappy quarterbacks that he played with in Cleveland, he still put up some really productive seasons. So again, if you didn't get Isaiah Likely, that's probably my number one tight end option is Isaiah Likely. But if you couldn't get him and you signed David Njoku, I would be content with that.
Now here's the juice, Al. Now we're talking about a football player because this I can see it's realistic and he's a phenomenal player. For me, the University of Miami tight ends is the juice. Like that's the pinnacle. It's tight end U for a reason. And you're absolutely right. He has had some very productive seasons with some very, very mediocre quarterbacks. And the writing's been on the wall all season that he was on his way out with Harold Fanning coming in. This is a guy now here's a guy who, unlike Kyle Pitts, isn't coming in and expected to be like a number one guy right away, though I'm sure he's going to want to be. If we're going to lure him in, we'll have to give him that pitch, I would imagine.
Right.
But yeah, he doesn't carry the Kyle Pitts like I was the fourth fucking overall pick. You're going to have to start me. This is somebody who I could see working very, very well with Hunter Henry.
Hmm.
He's a modern tight end. He's Jimmy Graham out there. He's running routes. He's shredded, doesn't do a whole lot of blocking. He will block, it's just not exceptional. But this would be a good middle ground where this season you slowly start to work Hunter Henry into the background. He's in there for a lot of run plays. And
Hmm.
then Njoku, like you said, he's a red zone target. You have him split out wide on a couple of red zone plays. He's catching fade routes and quick slants and whatnot. And just slowly, maybe as the season starts, Hunter Henry's getting a good bit of targets and good bit of snap count. And then his dwindles down to just a lot of the run plays and then play action. And the rest of it, the obvious passing downs, we got Njoku in there. This I can see. This I would love.
So just to kind of recap it, and again, tell me if you would agree on this. Just with the five that we did in terms of who we would really love for them to sign, to no chance. Like we don't want them anywhere involved. 5-1, five being the worst, one being the best. So number five, I think we can agree. Kyle Pitts. We don't want him unless it's
Yeah.
the last option. Number four, Isaac Samalo. I think was the
Yeah.
four guy that we talked about.
Yeah,
Jawan Jennings, I'm going to put it three because I know we were indifferent. You were more
yeah.
apt to
I
sign
was
him.
higher, you were
I was a
less.
little
Not
lower.
high, actually, so yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Number two, Kobe Bryant, I think would be good. And I think David Njoku is the one that we're both like, okay, let's go out and get him and improve this offense, and we'd be happy
Yeah.
with it. So
That one just makes the most sense.
is
Yes,
that a,
I think you nailed it.
okay, just want to make sure that that's a fair list. And again, we're gonna get more in details, folks. Don't worry about it. We're gonna get into it. Remember, this is only basically a week after the Super Bowl, so we're still dealing with it. We're still getting into the off season because usually, over the last couple of years, we've been deep into the off season. We're just getting our feet wet.
Yep.
Just give
Bird's
us
eye
some,
view.
yep, just give us some time. So that's all I really got on free agency. Liam, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we head out for the evening and for the week?
No, not particular at the moment. I would say that wraps it up.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. A little Patriots off-season talk. We kind of threw in, like I said, Liam and I kind of went in about 5,000 different directions. Liam, I
That's
appreciate
how
you
we roll,
going with
baby.
me on this journey. It was great. It was
My
fantastic.
pleasure.
Like you said, it was nice to have the intellect on the podcast and
It was.
the younger version. Just again, so to speak, we didn't have
There's a
great.
youth movement going on at Talk
I
Rule Takes.
was gonna say Grandpa Sullivan is not here anymore, so
Yeah.
we love you, Mike.
He yeah, he had to go get his shots and his new dentures and
Make sure, again, check us out everywhere. Again, our podcast is everywhere, and also check us out on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and everywhere else that you can find us. We'll be back probably next week. Whole crew should be back together. Any final thoughts, Liam, before we head out?
nada.
All right, for episode 220, that is the ever handsome Liam McDade, and I am your host, Al Nahigian. For this week, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And as always, sweet